Hello everyone, Insane Frame here and welcome to the 20k special. At the time of recording this video, we're getting towards 30,000 subscribers, so thank you very much everyone. I cannot say how amazing you all are. It's just mind-blowing that you all enjoy the content. And it's just amazing having you here. You are amazing. You all make this job a wonderful experience and it's just fantastic. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, as for today's video, we got a special one as Dogmeat is a good doggo, so we're going to be joining him. That's right. Today's the day we ask, can you beat Fallout 4 with dogs? Now for this, we are using the Playable Dogs mod in Nexus mod. It'll be in the description down below. And how this will work is we'll have an item on our hotbar and use it. And hey presto, we're a dog just like the great Oswald from Nuka World has cast a spell on Earth. Whilst in this form, the only assistance we will have is Dogmeat, so it'll be a 2-man campaign. And we'll still have access to our perks. How perks will scale, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that our attacks will count as unarmed. And we can bite people, and VATs will still be available, so all is good. Full disclosure, I've never used a mod like this before, but we do have a game plan and it will be really interesting. Anywho, let's quickly go over the rules. We must beat the main story as a doggo. Only canine followers are allowed, no glitter exploits, and we're going to be playing on very hard difficulty. So with all that, let's begin the game. So we begin the game, and rather than go through the start of the story, I made a save as we leave the vault, as that part of the game we're a human, so it doesn't really matter. However, we do decide our stats and we go for 10 strength, 10 endurance and 4 luck. This will be very interesting for sure, but we also decide to change our name. We name ourselves the most powerful doggo of all time, Courage the Cowardly Doggo. Comment down below if any of you know the reference. Anywho, we exit the vault and we have to become a doggo, so we go to the Red Rocket truck stop, go to the chemistry station, and after trying a couple of doggos, we decide to go ahead and stick to a raider doggo. Then we see Dogmeat and somehow speak as a human. I guess we still have human vocal cords, which is great, and we go over to Concord and start biting raiders. It's quite a different way to do combat, so we go ahead and try out VATs, and it actually works, so we can bite people if we see fit. So another tool in our toolkit. Speaking of which, we get a level up and we decide to go for Iron Fist. Our bites do 20% more damage, so good stuff. We decided to hunt some rad stags with Dogmeat, our bodio pal, and whilst also coming across some raiders. I've noticed combat is much smoother in first person, but a bit clunky in third person, but we also do pack a punch, so the raiders fall very fast. Also, we go to a cabin and manage to get a level up by killing some bloatflies, whilst also getting a magazine, so we can reflect 5% of melee damage back to the attackers, which is quite useful for us. We can't really block that well, but it is what it is. For our level up, we decide to go for +1 charisma. This will be an important stat for us. And to take it further, we used a special book to gain a further +1 charisma on top of that, making a total of 3 charisma. Not bad at all. Lastly, we decide to grab the Gronak, the Barbarian comic, so we do an extra 5% critical damage, which is really good for us. It's then over to Sunshine Tidings, and the ghouls in the area are simply no match for us as we bite them to buggery, and Dogmeat even tag teams with us to floor a ghoul. Our prize is another survival guide, but this one is pretty powerful as we get double the meat from animal kills, allowing us to heal that much easier from cooking items, which will be very relevant later. With Dogmeat at our side, we decide to head to the USAF satellite station and we pick on the raiders and we run around like a greyhound, nibbling on the enemy very quickly and using VATs on the more dangerous foes, which is super effective. And once the combat ends, we get the silver locket and clear out the storage room to get the key. And we also get all the goodies in there, including the Covert Ops magazine, making us harder to detect. Also, more importantly, Dogmeat has a cute bandana, so it was all worth it in the end. We go to Apathy's farm and we manage to hand the locket back as Blake Apathy talks to a dog. He might be going mad, but hey ho. We also help Trudy out by going 2 vs 2 against Simone and Wolfgang, which is very entertaining. We then speak to Trudy and we manage to get a level up. So with 2 level ups, we spec into +1 charisma and attack dogs. And now when Dogmeat attacks, he can grapple an enemy, so it's easier for us to hit them in VATs. A very solid perk as it will temporarily take an enemy out of the fight for us whilst we deal damage, which is beautiful. With our pack, we go to Lexington and take out the ghouls in the supermarket, gaining that valuable experience and picking up some loot here and there. We also go around making sure everyone knows that Lexington is our territory and biting anyone who disagrees with us. We then go to the mainland and we go against some wrongdoers who are chucking molotovs at us, trying to burn our fluffiness. So we teach them a lesson, and after a couple of their numbers fall, we level up. We decide to go for Lone Wanderer, as Dogmeat is the only exception to the Lone Wanderer perk, so we take 15% reduced damage and get an extra 50 carry weight. Good stuff. We keep wandering around and eventually bump into Good Neighbour and devour Finn for threatening cute doggos. How dare he? The crime must be paid, and well, he made it difficult for us, but we don our gunner's bandana and join the pack as an official member. Since we're the alpha, we decide to go and get some dog armor. It doesn't actually help us, but it just makes us look cool, so why not, I guess. However, after tuning up more raiders, we level up. We decide to spec into cannibal so we can regain health by eating humanoid enemies. Definitely a useful perk which will give us free heals whilst giving into our canine instincts. Lovely. However, there is a problem, as once I use cannibal, the mod glitches out, so we won't be using it, which is a shame, but it adds flavour to Courage the Cowardly Doggo, so hell yeah. Anyway, Dino gets doggoed, not really much more to say. However, we encounter a unique problem in which we can't reach the terminal, so when we use it, we can't actually see the screen, so it's guesswork and then the door is open. Simply excellent. Once Nick is free, we look like a evil doggo, but we're still fluffy, so we're still good. We make our escape as a pack of 3, and then when we see Skinny Malone, we pounce on one of the triggermen and we begin having a right old scrap. Skinny gets a rigorous mauling from our friend and now knows not to mess with the doggos. We meet Nick outside, and true to Courage's character, he can speak human, so we agree to meet Nick at his office in Diamond City. However, first we grind a level up by killing the local raiders, and we decide to go ahead and get Aqua Boy. I have been using this perk a lot recently as it allows us to breathe underwater and no longer take radiation damage from the water, which is pretty good. So we immediately begin swimming, and we swim down to the big island to get into a boat and get the luck bobblehead, giving us +1 luck. Very nice indeed. It's time to travel to Diamond City, and once we get there, we go to the mayor's secretary and pickpocket the keys. However, when we get to Nick's office, a problem occurs as we can't actually sit down because we're a dog, and we kind of need to start explaining things to Nick. So we go back to the chem station and get the human form and go back to Nick and sit down in our underwear. Once that's done though, we go back to doggo form, our true fluffy form, and we get into Kellogg's house. We grab the cigars and we use our buddy Dogmeat to sniff the cigar and politely leave Nick using our manners, ladies and gentlemen. We decide we can't leave Dogmeat behind as he's part of the pack, and we face a few people, and a yo guy decides to claw us, but a raider named Gruel decides to show up and he gets mauled by Winnie the yo guy. Thank you, Winnie, but you have to be removed from 100 Acre Wastelands. We eventually get to Fort Hagen with Dogmeat leading the way, and we start chewing up all the turrets, and we hit level 9. With our level up, we go with Iron Fist rank 2s. Our bites now do 40% extra damage, which is really good. Once inside Fort Hagen, Dogmeat is a huge help as it's 2 versus whatever Fort Hagen has to throw at us, and the combat goes relatively well as our rank 2 of Iron Fist allows us to disarm our opponents, making them have to use melee on us, and because there's 2 of us and we're doggos, the fluff pack manages to take them out no problem. Score 1 for the fluff pack. Once we take out lots of simps, there's quite the combative doggo, we then get to see the man himself, Kellogg Cornflakes, and we manage to get a sneak attack off, and Dogmeat helps us by beginning to bite Kellogg, and then we disarm him, and we're the ultimate team of doggos as we just keep biting Kellogg until he falls to the floor, because he's no match for the dog duo, and then his bodyguards are soon to be dealt with. We try using the computer, and since we can't see it, we don't actually know what's happening. Once we get to the door, we blindly use the terminal to open the door, and we see the Brotherhood airship and start chasing it, giving into our inner doggo. Beautiful. However, we need to get Dogmeat looking the part, so it's off to Jamaica Plains. But first we go and swim to the Atom Cats and get the unarmed bobbleheads. Our critical hits with unarmed attacks do 25% more damage. Very nice. Anyway, we just go outside Jamaica Plains and find an evil doggo and challenge them and beat them. We then take their armor for Dogmeat, and we also go to Trash Can Carla and buy some welding goggles. So now we get +1 perception, which is something useful, and Dogmeat looks absolutely adorable with it, so what's not to love? Anywho, as a pair of doggos, we go into the Museum of Freedom and destroy the raiders in their entirety. It's perfectly fine, don't worry about it. But when we meet the Minutemen, we snatch up the perception bobblehead, giving +1 perception, as it doesn't hurt to have a little perception here and there. We then have an exchange with Preston, and we go outside and we begin biting the raiders. All the while we see the Deathclaw spawn. So when we finish numbing on the raiders, we decide to run back to the church, and the Brotherhood is still decide to show up to take out the Deathclaw in a molten mess before it manages to kill us. So thank Thank you, Brotherhood Patrol. You saved our lives. You are amazing. After that, we go see Preston and Co. and they move out to Sanctuary. Since as doggos, we need to use our manners. We build some beds, get the food and water supplies running, and set down some turrets so the humans are safe and sound. And we have a base where we can receive head pats. We speak to Preston and he's impressed with us and he directs us to Sturges, but we get a level up and we decide to go ahead and get Idiot Savant. So we have a chance to gain 3 times the amount of XP with any action, and the lower our intelligence, the more often it procs. Sturges likes what we've done with the place, and we repeat this process with Sunshine Tidings to gain a functioning settlement as well as the Starlight Drive-In. Whilst they're not thriving metropolises, they will serve as a pair of settlements for us. However, when we get to 10 Pines Bluff, we're tasked with taking the Corvergia power plant that's filled with raiders. This is wonderful news for us, as when we get there, the raiders are overwhelmed by a pair of doggos equipped with goggles, and we go around causing mayhem as they simply cannot stop us. We even level up, so we decide to go ahead and get Idiot Savant rank 2, so anytime we do an action that can yield experience, we have a chance to gain 5 times the amount of experience, which is ridiculous. However, we clear out the Corvergia power plant with dog meat with relative ease, as 1 doggo is extremely fluffy. 2 doggos is just too much fluff, and the raiders can't handle it, as we are the ultimate fluffs. 10 Pines Bluff is informed, and we gain another settlement, so job's a good one. We then beat some raiders back and gain another settlement, which is absolutely excellent, as we then establish the infrastructure so the humans have a nice place to live. We do the same with Hangman's Alley just outside of Diamond City to gain our 5th settlement, so things are looking pretty good. We go and report back into Preston and he says we've been doing a great job, and he promotes a dog to general. Okay, Preston, that's fine. A talking dog to general, fair enough, but in the process we level up and we decide to go for attack dog rank 2, so when dog meat bites a limb, there's a chance he'll cripple the limb he's biting, so a bit of utility for us. We have a couple of missions for 2 more settlements highlighted on the map, so we decide to make our way to Finch Farm. When we get there, we try to be reasonable, but they want us to go against the Forge, and that's not happening as they have fire, and fire damages our fur. We have to draw the line somewhere, and burning our fur is that line. So Finch Farm is swarmed by us, and they fail to stand up to us. So we take Finch Farm by force. Not the greatest result, but a settlement is a settlement. So we put recruitment beacon down and get a couple of turrets, and next up is Green Top Nursery, and much the same happens. It's off to even more settlements, and we are asked to deal with some super mutants, so we go ahead to a water plant, but first we have a level up, so we go ahead and get Bloody Mess, giving plus 5% damage across the board, which will help our damage. Once inside, we start pressing switches to drain the water, and we see the Mirelurks and beat them down, gaining a lot of Mirelurk meat. Once the last switch is activated, we get out of dodge and decide to go ahead and face the super mutants like the Salmon asked. All we have to do is kill a named mutant and get chased around. We use VATS to do a lot of damage, and then we have the clunky movement but bite them to the ground. We go ahead and see Grey Garden. The robots notice we've got the Purifier up and running, which gains us 1 settlement, and we've fulfilled the request of the 2nd settlement, so that's 2 settlements for us. So we have all the settlements that we need now. We go to Preston and he decides it's high time to attack the castle, which is most excellent. When we get to the castle, we ask everyone to set up a firing line, which will be important, and as a doggo, we run and aggro all of the Mirelurks, and our friends do all the heavy lifting as they pour laser fire into the Mirelurks, allowing us to harvest more Mirelurk meat. They keep wanting to kill us, but they don't stand a chance. However, we then have the Mirelurk Queen. Now, we do have a plan for her, and we decide to use some Med-X for the poison resistance, and we lure the Mirelurk Queen into a corner. We use their strength against them by using dog meat to attack it. However, the Mirelurk Queen can't pass through dog meat or the trees, so now our Minutemen squad can use the laser musket fire, and we don't have to melee them because our big brain plays. And the Mirelurk Queen is such a large beast, and dog meat is doing such a fantastic job along with our squad, so we win the fight, no problem. Radio Freedom is set up and Preston is ecstatic. We get a level up, we decide to go for Rooted, so when we stand still we gain plus 25 damage resistance and also gain plus 25% more damage with our unarmed strikes, so it's all good. We decide to fortify the castle with a lot more turrets, and after all of our building of many turrets, we level up again. We decide to get Bloody Mess rank 2, so our damage is increased by 10%. After our level up, we decide to get to cooking. We have a lot of items, and since we got the Wasteland Survival Guide earlier, been saving all of our ingredients. Due to Idiot Savant going off, we get so much XP that we actually almost level up. However, before we can do anything, Ronnie Shaw says hello. Hello, Ronnie. After meeting Ronnie, we go into the tunnels and we meet Sarge, and Sarge is a tanky sentry bot who's really difficult for us to face. However, we have Dogmeat and Ronnie, so it's a 3 versus 1. So we bide our time and let them do the heavy lifting for us, and after after a while, our team beats Sarge as we run away from the explosion. We then grab the artillery blueprint and build some artillery and do a test fire on a building, which works wonders. We go to Preston and he's amazed at our progress, and we also level up. We go for adamantium skeletons, so our limbs take 30% less damage, extremely useful for us. We've also been concentrating on the Minutemen for long enough, so we decide to go see Nick in his office, and we also see Piper, who we've recently met. And Nick decides to go to the memory den, so we go on over and see Dr. Amari. We then sit down as a human, and once we go through all the memories, we learn about Brian Virgil out in the glowing sea. It's off to the glowing sea, and we run away from the Deathclaws and Rad Scorpions to eventually get outside Virgil's cave. We decide to go against Deathclaw in a 2v1. Dogmeat encouraged the cowardly dog bravely attack the Deathclaw, allowing us to get some decent damage off. We keep going, although we nearly die, but we managed to ease out the wind just about, so all in a day's work. When we get to Virgil, he says that we need to go ahead and kill a Corsa, so it's off to Green Tech Genetics as a pair of doggos. However, we also level up and we decide to go for Lone Wanderer rank 2, so we take 30% less damage and have an increased carry weight of 100, so we get some much needed damage reduction. Once in Green Tech Genetics, the gunners hit us hard and fast, which is difficult, and Dogmeat manages to get the missile launcher wielding gunner no problem. Good going, Dogmeat. And we continue on. When we see the gunner private, we don't even decide to fight them, we just go straight into the lift. We then confront the Corsair, and he's easy as pie as we just leap at him and disarm him, and then quite the scuffle, which is good. We then manage to kill the Corsair outright, no problem, and then it's time to go to the North Church after we get the Corsair chip. We then go see Desdemona. Apparently she knows that a certain doggo has been through the wasteland, so we give her the Corsair chip, and Tinker Tom decodes the chip for us, and we get the codes that we need. We go to see Virgil, and he gives us the teleporter blueprint, and we go to Preston to ask for help. He agrees, however, idiot savant procs, and we get not 1 but 2 level ups. It's perfectly fine, people. We decide to go for Iron Fist rank 3, so we do 60% more damage and have a chance to cripple an enemy limb, a must-have perk for us. For our second perk, we decide to go for Adamantium Skeleton rank 2, so we take 60% less damage on our limbs, so the chance of being crippled are much slimmer. All in all, very, very good perks. We then get started on the teleporter, and it looks fantastic, and we're teleported into the Institute, and when inside, we clunkily use the network scan. We can't really see the monitor, so there's that, but we roll around in the elevator, then confront the child simp, and it's comedy gold as we are a dog and trying to convince a child simp that it's our son. However, Senior Potato rocks up and is convinced he's our son, so we just say that we want out as he's human and he's talking to a dog, so for our own sanity, we just leave the Institute. However, when we're out, we give Sturgis the network scanner and we speak to Preston, who says that the castle was under attack. So we head on over, but before we do that, we have a level up. So we go ahead and get solar powered, so between the times of 6 AM and 6 PM, we have +2 strength and +2 endurance. A brilliant perk for a little bit of mid-maxing. Now it's over to the castle, and the Institute do give us some trouble. However, we have so many turrets to gun them, the main bulk of their forces just go down like flies. They don't really stand a chance against us, that is until the coursers come in and ruin all the fun. However, thanks to our healing items that we made earlier, we managed to bite them to buggery, and Ronnie and co set up the ones outside to be bitten into the ground. So we win the siege no problem, and Ronnie wants another crack at them. However, we get a level up and we decide to get the mysterious stranger, so every time we use that, the mysterious stranger can show up doing serious damage to our opponent. Now it's over to Sturgis, and he says that he's discovered a sewer pipe we can use to get into the Institute and spring in a surprise attack against them. So we run through the sewers very rapidly and get through the enemies by just running past them as quickly as possible. We then run through the pipe and pop out the main area. We go back to human form to access the computer and go back to doggo form and speak to Preston. He hands us the pulse charge showing we're in the endgame now. So with Dogmeat by our side, he's fluffy as all hell, we get to it as the doggo duo is amazing. We run past everything with lightning speed with no qualms whatsoever and get to bioscience. In bioscience, we just bite a couple of people and we just make sure the gorillas aren't causing too much trouble, but once they're dealt with, it's over to the main plaza. In the main plaza, we go bite more units, including a Corsa, and then the rest of the units fall gradually by the Minutemen's hands, which is pretty good. As the main plaza is cleared, we get the lift come down and we go pay a visit to the director's office. We access the terminal in doggo fashion and issue the override. We then nibble on Senior Potato, who is basically a chew toy at this point. When we are done, we go back to the main plaza, straight to advanced systems, and we ignore all the enemies. So we decide to go ahead and go to the reactor, and when the reactor is in sight, we sprint straight on in and place the pulse charge. And when we leave, the child sim thinks it's our son still, but we're a dog, so sorry, no can do, child sim. We get teleported out, pressing the detonator, ending the run, answering the question, can you beat Fallout 4 as a pack of doggos? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can, and it's a hell of a wild time. Okay, this was different from any other challenge I've done thus far, and I've got to admit the bite attack is pretty good. It did more damage than a regular fist attack, and just having dogmeat around it's just always good, as he's a fluffy good boyo. He did a lot to help us out, and for the mod itself, the movement was a little clunky, but the first person view was perfect, and the VATS worked most of the time, so I can wholeheartedly recommend the mod. It'll be in the description down below if you want it. It's a hell of a good laugh. I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you subscribed, getting us here to 20k. Seriously, you guys, I can't even say how wonderful it is, but you're just all amazing. The fact that you're all part of this community, I know many YouTubers say it, and this is a single channel on the platform, but you've all changed my life for the better, and you make doing this not only a pleasure, but also a damn dream. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching the videos, commenting, all that awesome stuff. It really is amazing having you all here. It's just an amazing feeling making videos for a living and just putting smiles on your faces. So thank you for helping this channel get this far, and hopefully we'll have more decent videos, more good times. And so with all of that, all I can say now is thank you very much for allowing this dream to burn bright and being part of it. So with 20k done, we'll move on to a very requested run, which is can you beat Fallout 4 as Kellogg? So stay tuned for that. And finally, this is Insane Frame. Thank you so much for watching, and here's to another milestone in the future, going on to 30k. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Look after yourselves. Bye bye for now.